Did you know that if you hold stablecoins, you don't have to just hold them, you can put them in specific platforms where they make passive income? Well, apparently a lot of people don't know this. I had the discussion on Discord where we talked about the different platforms offering a high yield or a high API. So for this video, I decided to go a lot deeper. Let's dive into it. Let's explain how everything works, what things to look out for when picking the platform where you park your stablecoins, and of course, what are the best platforms to do this on. And you can use many similar services to achieve a high APY, a high yield on crypto. Platforms like YouHodler, WhiteBit, Binance, CoinDepo, they offer services like this. And since a lot of people don't even know that platforms like this exist, and maybe don't even know what's APR, what's APY, I felt like a good idea to dig into it, explain everything in as much detail as I possibly can. And the idea is to find out, is it realistically possible to earn 20% or more yield passively on your crypto? So with all these different platforms offering different APY amounts, some are low, some are high, so what's the real difference? Well, it's worth noting that other platforms that offered a high yield, like Celsius, FTX, Voyager, they all failed. Most of them scammed. Celsius collapsed because nobody could see inside the platform. They were lending out user funds with zero transparency. And then FTX, well, that was outright fraud. Voyager went down because they were too exposed to a single borrower. The problem with every single one of these cases isn't that they were crypto platforms, it's that nobody knew what was actually happening with the money. So the real question when you look at any yield providing platform isn't, is this too good to be true? It's actually, can I see inside this thing? So after all those bad experiences in the past, a lot of these yield providing platforms offer much more transparency, and so the difference there is already significant. But let's dive deeper. I want to show you something. APR versus APY, the annual percentage rate and the annual percentage yield. And to really visualize this, here's a nice graph with a $10,000 initial investment over the period of 10 years with compounding and without compounding. So without compounding, you will still make $27,000 within a 10-year period, just pure passive from investing $10,000. Well, this is actually calculated on 17% for this graph. But with compounding, it is significantly more. It is $54,718. So that's a $27,718 difference if you compound versus if you don't. CoinDepo has their own calculator here where you can calculate how much you will get back. And on stablecoins, for example, if we do USDT or USDC, we get a 17% APR. If we put $10,000 in here, after a year, we will have made $1,852 of pure profit. So if we go to the annual though, then we can see a proper 10-year calculation, because platforms like this, any yield providing platforms for that matter, the longer you keep your money inside, the more you will earn over time because of this compounding effect that we just talked about. So after 10 years, the earned interest will be $69,000 and you will be left with $79,000 total, including your initial $10,000 investment. So I hope all this makes sense so far, because now we're gonna dig into the other platforms and what they offer. If we look at something like YouHodler, they offer 5 to 13% APY, often with no lockup, with interest paid regularly. All that's good. The yield is not a high yield, but still compared to banks, it's high. WhiteBit can offer up to 18.6% on crypto deposits. They have both flexible and fixed terms, but the higher APY requires a lockup period, something very important to keep in mind for when we talk about the lockup in CoinDepo. Binance, very trustworthy platform, #1 crypto techs in the world, 3 to 8% APY, sometimes can get higher with the promos that they're running, but mostly it's going to be around 3 to 4% if you do stable coins. They have many products, no minimum deposit, you can start with $10, and all this is verifiable. Binance.com/EN/earn. You can see this for yourself. Then we have Nexo, of course, that offers up to 17% APY. Now we're getting into the high yield. So high yield, obviously also higher risk. So you're going to want to make sure that all of this is by the book. You're going to want to know where the money comes from, where the money goes, who audits them. All that is very important when picking where you want to lock up your funds. The problem with Nexo is a minimum $5,000 portfolio is required in order to earn. So they have high higher rates. So the higher rates need a Nexo token as well. They do daily payouts, which is great for daily compounding, but keep in mind, you will have to get their Nexo token if you want to get those high yield numbers. And of course, that's also another factor of the risk coming in. Do you want to hold this token? Maybe you don't want to hold this token, so why would you? Well, you don't have to anymore, because now we also have CoinDepo. Of course, all of these platforms are still up and running and all of them are offering yields, but CoinDepo is a crypto interest account with up to 21% APY. So the yield, they've been up and running since 2021. They have Fireblocks custody. They're audited by Certic and Hacken, as we already mentioned, and they also do the quarterly reports. So that's also very important. Every quarter, they publish a report to the public to see what they're up to, where the money's going, where the money's coming from, all that. One more thing is the rates are being reduced starting from February 2026, so that's already passed. I will talk more about this in a second. The calculator on CoinDepo is actually very interesting because it will show you exactly how much you will be making if you put your money in the platform. So let's say we want to invest only $1,000. We don't have more than that to invest, and we don't want to keep it so long. We want to keep it until the Bitcoin halving. Let's say that's going to be in about 2 years, a little bit more than that. And then we want to start investing perhaps. So after 2 years, you still will have earned a total of 50% of what you have put in. And for you, what you have to do from your perspective, you don't have to risk your money in meme coins, to risk your money in Ponzi schemes and things of that nature. So it's these APYs and the yield providing platforms are one of the safest ways of generating passive income with the money you already have. So let's say if you have this money and you don't want to invest for some time, you want to see what's going to happen with the market, it's just sitting there. Might as well put it in a yield-bearing account. And of course, if you have $10,000 to invest in something like this, that would be $5,129 that you wouldn't have had otherwise unless you put it in a yield-bearing account. And then specifically CoinDepo that offers these high interest rates. Now, about them cutting their rates, CoinDepo cutting their rates in February, depending on your background, it may sound bad at first, but let's think about this for a little bit. A platform running a Ponzi or something along those lines does not voluntarily cut rates. A maturing business does. So this is a very healthy signal. Now, there is another rate cut planned in a couple of months. So the platform is changing their strategy from active growth to stable business profitability. So what you want to see in platforms like this is this maturing business factor. Always great to see. The longer they run, obviously, the more trustworthy they become. But what if you don't hold stablecoins? What if you're fully exposed to altcoins? Altcoins are down in the shambles. We're never gonna get an altcoin season by the looks of it. Hopefully one day, am I right? So if you're a bag holder of altcoins or you're just an investor in altcoins, you have those options too. So you don't have to sell your altcoins. You can just make them earn more of the coin you're holding. So let's say we have Dogecoin at 12% APR. Let's say we have 1 million. That may be a bit too much, actually. I'm outside of Dogecoin. I haven't held Dogecoin in years, actually. That's a lot of money. Let's do 100,000 Dogecoin. Yeah, there we go. That's about $11,000. So at 100,000 Dogecoin in 1 year, we will have made 12,000 Dogecoin for the duration of that year. So that's about $1,421, but here comes the kicker. This is an altcoin. This goes up, goes down as well, but it also goes up. Dogecoin is currently sitting at 11 cents, but the all-time high was almost 50 cents. So with that in mind, if you're a holder of Dogecoin and you believe it's going to go back to its all-time highs, actually it was even more than that in 2021. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It was 74 cents. It's crazy. But let's say you're just not willing to sell unless it goes to the all-time high. So that's 74 cents. And then calculating only the yield that you made from holding Dogecoin on a yield-providing platform, do some math with the inspector, we are at $9,433. So just from the yield, also if Dogecoin goes back to all-time highs, of course, doing things like this is a higher risk than just holding stablecoins. It always will be, but it's out there. There's an opportunity. And all I'm saying is if you have the altcoins sitting around doing nothing, might as well earn some yield on them, right? Now, whether you're going to do this on CoinDepo or you're going to do it on Binance or you're going to do it on whatever platform you saw and you liked, be sure to check all the boxes from licensing to certification to where are they regulated. Do they do quarterly, yearly, whatever reports to let people know where the money's coming from, where the money's going? All that you need to look into when deciding which yield providing platform to pick, because there certainly is risk. Yield providing platforms have gone down in the past, as I mentioned in the intro of this video. So after going through all those points for CoinDepo, they actually check a lot of boxes that makes a healthy yield providing business. I'm not saying put your life savings in this. Of course, never invest anything you can't afford to lose. And this doesn't go just for crypto, but also for stocks and for any investment whatsoever. You gotta be very careful and keep in mind the most important thing. Do not lose money. It is more important than making money sometimes, especially in our crypto industry. And if you think CoinDepo isn't for you, as I said, there's many other platforms offering the same thing. You take your pick, but make sure that your money just doesn't sit by idly, but is actually making some passive income, because the opportunities are certainly out there in crypto, not in crypto. The opportunities are there. So high risk is usually higher reward, lower risk is lower reward, but sitting idly and doing nothing, there is no reward in that. If you enjoyed this video, click on the playlist. It's gonna be somewhere here on the screen to check out our other videos from the channel, and I'll see you over there. All right, have a good one, everybody.